Okay. Hi, everybody. Thank you for coming to my workshop. I really wanted to get this workshop in because I know we need something like this badly, and we haven't really figured out what our methodology is when it comes to how we organize internally and um, and how we combat some of the I guess we'll say negative feedback we've gotten about being disorganized and why is that and what are we doing wrong? And for me, it's not about what we're doing wrong. It seems as though everyone else is copying grassroots democracy and they systematically made frameworks for it. And we need to start using these frameworks because um, it would make us more organized and we'll get a lot more stuff done. And it really helps when it comes to rapid responding to events that are changing even more rapidly around us. So first we'll go into what is this Scrum stuff, because I know it seems like what an interesting concept, what an interesting name to call it. And it was created back in 98, actually. So this is very old, but it's like it's gotten to the point where it is adopted in so many areas. So it is a very popular framework. Let me go ahead and start the show. So Scrum is a popular, it's over here. It's a popular Agile framework. It is adaptive, iterative, fast, flexible, and effective framework designed to deliver significant value quickly and throughout a project. Scrum ensures transparency in communication and creates an environment of collective accountability and continuous process. The Scrum framework supports the Green Party's platform decentralized structure for implementing the strategic plan in any type of project, irrespective of its complexity, to grow the party, awareness of green politics, and more representatives in public office to implement our policies. So Scrum itself is literally designed to implement the Green Party's platform. So now a lot of people may have heard of Scrum, but they thought it was only for coding. It really wasn't designed for coding. Um, Actually, it has become um, it's being adopted all over. So a Scrum team, there's some curious names people like to call their Scrum teams. You got the A team, the Machinations, the Essentials, um, Easy Scrub, Easy Go. There's articles about how to make your Scrum team like the Justice League. Kindergarten teachers are the best Scrum Masters. So they even have how to clean your house with Scrum and cleaning your house in sprints, in 15-minute sprints. So it has become very adaptive across so many different um, areas of life now. Um, so it is not just for software developers anymore. While the methodology was initially intended for product developers, Scrum has captured a wide audience. Um, Large projects are broken into more manageable pieces. That is what Scrum does. Short task periods easily accommodate changes based on feedback or issues. And team members maintain clear visibility into the entire project through brief daily meetings. Um, they're called like sprints, and you have them every day for about 15 minutes, and you cannot go over the 15 minutes. It is one of the hardest things to do. I've been trying to apply Scrum methodology to housework, and for some reason, it's very hard for me to like stop at 15 minutes. Like, are you kidding me? I have to keep going. And so the reason why Scrum is kind of hard for people because they really don't want to stop. And if you had meetings like that where they seem to just go on and on and on, and breaking those meetings down into 15-minute sprints is hard for a lot of people. That's why it's gotten to the point where Scrum you can get certified for in development and project managements because it's very hard to change. It's almost like a habit, like trying to change a habit from one habit to another, because you're actually changing your project management style from one to another. And it's very hard for a lot of people to work in sprints. Um, but it is faster, it's more efficient, and the resource management is a lot better. Um, and about 78% of organizations use Scrum, combine it with other frameworks for maximum productivity. So you're talking about a lot of different industries here. So um, this guide that I'm going over today, or this workshop, is pretty much for anyone or all members of the Green Party working on projects for any committee, caucus, or local party. A reference source for anyone interacting with the Scrum core teams, but not limited to portfolio product owners, portfolio Scrum Masters, program product owners, um, program, oh, and the Scrum guidance body and stakeholders. Now, our stakeholders would be sponsors, donors, voters, our committee members, and candidates. And we got to establish how all these different roles, the way they name them, translates into our structure within the party. So that's what this pretty much is, a handbook for anyone who has no prior experience of the framework. Now, it is proven these are alternatives to traditional approaches of advocacy practices that can increase agility when faced with roadblocks. And boy, have we been faced with so many roadblocks for the past 10 years. It's been hard for a lot of us with the roadblocks we've been faced. It helps create criteria for timely, effective decisions in a rapidly changing political environment. These techniques um, can be extended to volunteer management and grassroots philosophies to implement systematic changes. It has big picture insights, lessons, and cautions of grassroots organizing. It has specifics on how to about how-to examples for quick start a successful managed political campaign, and um, it would provide common mistakes to avoid when implementing an agile approach for grassroots democracy. Um, so this is pretty much how we've been trying to do Scrum. The emphasis is on the people, and we are a people-powered party, so we are supposed to be focused on the people instead of the processes, which is the traditional way of project management. Um, the documentation is minimal. Traditionally, it's comprehensive, but it's more minimum when it comes to action plans. The process style is, excuse me, iterative, and it's not linear. It's like it flows. The upfront planning is low. Okay, it's not. You have to have a lot of stuff planned up at the beginning, and how it, because it works in so many small increments, you don't have to have a lot of upfront planning. Uh, how we prioritize our rules and procedures is based on strategic value and regularly updated in Scrum. And traditional project management styles will be like a fixed. It has to be like fixed or something. Um, the quality assurance will be based on volunteers versus processes. Again, organization, it'll be self-organized with multiple working committees, groups, and caucuses. That's how it is now, as you can see, versus it's just managed by our bylaws, rules, and procedures, strictly by that. Um, the management style is decentralized, of course. Change is updated in backlog instead of a formal proposal. Um, leadership is collaborative. We would have co-chair leaderships and co-chair meetings between all of our different groups instead of command and control. Performance measurements is based on our actual elections and office holders um, versus conformity to the platform. Uh, return of investment is always throughout the life cycle instead of the end of the project. It's always throughout the project's life, throughout of it. And volunteer involvement is high, period. So those are the differences between traditional project management and Scrum. Scrum is more aligned with uh, our platform. Okay. Um, so I always like how Howie always says young people see more clearly than older people when it comes to these new processes and new management styles. And the reason that is because this is all like, I want to say it's like everyone's saying the flex, but it's all about this flex and this is what we're doing. And that's pretty much what Scrum is. So many things I've received feedback about when it comes to how we organize as a party is uh, focusing on just the bylaws, rules, and procedures don't help our candidates get elected. The communication processes for approvals require me to do extra work that isn't adding any value, or we need to increase our process agility to respond more rapidly to changing political environments. So those are like one of the main things I hear from the youth when it comes to certain aspects of the party. So we've got to start looking at how Scrum can change the way we manage our parties, our committees, our local parties, our campaigns. All of it is pretty much using a agile framework of something. And it's usually very fast and is very often, and you'll accomplish more, but do not have to waste a lot of time. And you'll notice that meetings get shorter and shorter until every meeting is only like half an hour at the most. Even the monthly meetings can be only half an hour. And people are like, there's no way we're going to get monthly meetings down to a half an hour, but it is supposed to be happening in this party. So we do have to work on this a lot to get our meeting times down, even on a monthly basis. So how we break this down is pretty simple. We create a green vision of whatever we're trying to do. Then we identify who is going to be the facilitators and who are our stakeholders. Then we form a team that's usually about 5 to 7 people. Then we develop the epic stories that we're trying to solve. We have a backlog of what we've accomplished, and then we conduct release planning. When we're going to do this, we were going to do that. So don't worry, it's not going to be too overwhelming. I do have an example, a real life example, and we're going to work on this together. So this is going to be a very interactive workshop. Okay. So we're going to create some user stories. We're going to estimate and commit who's going to commit to the stories, who's going to commit to tasks, and create sprints. Now the sprints are going to be about 15 minutes. And then we're going to see this create our deliverables. What are we going to deliver? We're going to create a backlog on that. We're going to demo our sprints. We're going to retrospect our sprints, and we're going to ship the final product of the green vision. This is what we're going to do. And we're going to do all of this within 2 weeks' time. And then we're going to work on the next process, and we're going to continue this wash and repeat on average every 2 weeks. This is how Scrum works. Okay. So just to give an example of all these like product owners and Scrum Masters and the Scrum team, and who are all these people? So I'm going to use the national level of the Green Party's framework as an example of the Scrum team. So this is an example of a fundraiser project. And if you had a Scrum team of 5 people, the product owner would be the fundraiser's co-chair. The Scrum Master would be the steering committee liaison. And then you'll have someone that is doing the budget for this project on the fundraising committee. You would have the phone banker scheduler for some type of phone bank. And then you'll have a software and goal tracker. So that would be the main 5. And then you're going to have some non-core people that's going to like come in to give their feedback. So you have like media and outreach over here, helping with phone banking. You'll have someone from the finance committee or the treasurer helping with that, with the budget planner. And then you might have the staff working closely with the Scrum Master over here. So we already kind of have like in our bylaws, in our rules and procedures, we already have like a way that we can make Scrum teams, because we pretty much have that structure already. We just not actually establishing processes of this, just the Scrum way of doing it. Okay. And this is just for one fundraising project. It's not for just the fundraising committee. There could be 50 people on the fundraising committee, but this one project that they're working on is just about 5 people. And then you have like some non-core working with the 5 people somewhere in there. So you see how it's kind of interconnected. It's not, and they're just working on this one little project. Okay. So our co-chairs in general at the national level are responsible for achieving maximum value for a team project, articulates the group's requirements, maintains the justification of a project, represents the voice of the group. Sounds like the co-chair at this point, right? And then the Scrum Master ensures that the Scrum team is provided with an environment conducive to complete the project's success, guides, facilitates, and teaches Scrum practices to everyone involved in the project, clears impediments for the team, making sure they don't get distracted with what they're trying to do, making sure they don't get sidelined, and making sure they're understanding how this works and what the goals are and making sure the backlogs and everything, making sure everyone is not going outside the box, making sure everything is facilitated correctly. That is what our steering committee members do for our working committees. So they're literally Scrum Masters for each working committee. Okay. And the team itself is responsible for understanding the co-chair's requirements and creating the deliverables for the project they're working on. Okay. And the non-core roles, as I said, are not mandatory requirements for the project, may include some team members who are interested in the project, have no former role in the project team, and may interface with the team, but may not be responsible for the success of the project. So you always are going to have some non-core, because the way our working committees work at the national level, we have working committees, and then they're going to be instances where they don't need to cross connect, and but they need to be considered non-core for this project because they have their own core projects they're working on, of course. But so you understand how it's a little bit more flexible. It's a little bit, the communication and transparency will be a lot more fluid and open. This is how Scrum is operated. Okay. So, and again, the product owner for us would be like co-chairs and chairs. It doesn't have to be co-chairs and chairs. I'm trying to think of it in like at the state level. It might not be the co-chair for a project. It may be county co-chairs for a project. It might not be the state co-chair that is the product owner. So it all depends on what the project is. But like I said, you just have to establish who is going to own this project. You do have to, because they're making sure that we're aligning with our 10 key values. Just have to make sure you have an owner of the product that you're trying to deliver. Okay. Oh yeah, and secretaries. Secretaries could also be product owners in some instances, depending on the project. Or if you're at the state level and you have a media thing going on or an event, it might be a different product owner. So it could be a lobbying event for Medicare for All, petitioning for ranked choice voting, ballot initiative, or a simple press release opposing endorsing legislation. You just want to make sure you have a product owner. Product owner manages the backlog, coordinates with a Scrum Master, analyst of the product's vision or a green vision, and modulating development team. So Scrum Masters. For us, I would say Scrum Masters at the national level is usually our steering committee liaisons of working committees, advisors on state media committees, or like the parliamentarian within a caucus. Those are type of the roles a Scrum Master would have in any type of team. Just to give you an idea that how they're different than the product owner. But basically they're the facilitator. And no, they will not do the work for you. I love this shirt. If you, I don't know where you can get this, but yes, that is a very common thing with Scrum Masters. They're just there to help you Like stay on topic, with the project, and they just make sure you do not steer away from the goals and the tasks and the backlog. They just what they do. You just have to have one. Okay. So for us, we kind of have that with our steering committee because they're steering us. They're our national coaches. We call them steering, and they're technically Scrum Masters for our working committees. So um, our parliamentarian and our Black Caucus, for example, does the same tasks in meetings to make sure we stay on task and don't go over time, stuff like that. Or stay in line with our um, bylaws, rules, and procedures. So now, the Scrum Master, are you that type of person? So usually we always try to look for who are good Scrum Masters versus who are good product owners for any task. It doesn't matter if they're elected at a certain position or not. They do not have to hold that position in every project because it depends on the project itself. So Scrum mastering is a little bit different. You're the type of person that enables cooperation. You enforce everything in Scrum. You are like a Scrum fanatic. You make sure everyone's doing everything the Scrum way and do not steer away from it. That is what makes a Scrum Master so much different than the product owner. Okay. You try to figure out ways to improve productivity of the project itself. You're not really in charge of deliverables. You're in charge of making sure everyone's delivering their best. Okay. Um, and you're the one that makes sure no one else in the team gets distracted. And that's one of actually one of the hardest roles of a Scrum Master is you're the one that's to make sure no one else in the team gets distracted from the actual project. Okay. So, oh my God, Philena, you just loaded me with all this information. What do I do? Well, what am I? Am I a Scrum Master? Am I a product owner? Am I a developer? Just a team member? My core? Am I not core? I don't know. So we're going to do a little exercise. So I'm going to come out of here now of the PowerPoint. Let me stop sharing for 1 second. So let me give you some background before we start this next exercise of actually implementing a Scrum project. Okay, so around the beginning of April, I had created a calendar, and let me screen share my calendar real quick. Oops. Okay. All right. So as a media lead, I tend to try to put all the days and celebrations and anything we can focus events around into a calendar. Now, there are no food days on this calendar, so you don't have to worry about National Fried Chicken Day or Popcorn Day on this calendar. But I did try to add as many activist days as I could on this calendar. And me and Diana, my co-chair for the media committee, we've been adding events to this calendar for I started this, was it 2019? And it's it's getting good here. So this is a very great calendar. Let me know if you want to link to this calendar for your own review because it's a great calendar. But this is what happens. So in April, I'm looking at the April calendar and I'm like, okay, April is our month. April is the Green Party month. It's Volunteers Month, you know. So this is when we have a lot of volunteers activities in April. Okay. There's some world days that we can have some activities around. Oh, then we got 420. Can't forget about 420, Volunteer Week, and then Earth Day to May Day, Honesty Day, Education and Sharing Day, and oh yeah, and the 4 Pillars and 10 Key Values Day, the Green Party Day, and I did not know my co-chair put that in there as a social media day to promote the 4 Pillars and 10 Key Values. I thought this was actually already a day, and we just don't do anything on that day, or we don't celebrate it like at the beginning or when the founders founded the Green Party or something. I thought it was just already a day. So I get caught with my egg on my face, like, hey, everybody in National, what do we usually do on 410? What do we do on the 4 Pillars and 10 Key Values Day? What do we do on this day? Do we have like just like webinars or do we just do informative things? Do we do green waves? What do we do on this 410 day? And everybody's looking at me like, what the heck is Philena talking about? And I'm like, wait, this is not a day? Wait, we don't have a day? Oh, okay, well, I guess we need to have this a day because it's a perfect day in a perfect month. And I already made this like Volunteers Month. It's April and it's a few days, pretty much a week before Earth Day. So we can use that day to make an informative day and then announce our Earth Day projects in a couple of weeks and da-da-da. So let's make this official. Now, how do we do this the Scrum way? This is where it gets interesting. So who wants to go first? Let me look at the chat because I haven't been looking at the chat. Okay. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. That's because the whole naming convention came from software development. So if you're like, don't worry about like product owner and all that, it's not really a capitalism thing. It's us nerds in software that did that. It has nothing to do. Don't worry about it. It's just us. Just like the blue screen of death and all the other weird stuff we named. That is just us. So we can rename how it is with us in the party, but that's generally the naming convention. So what would be the first thing we would have to do to make April 10th National Green Party Day? Anybody? Come on, jump in. You don't be shy.
I love the idea. I'm all for it, Dave from Pennsylvania.
Don't post the calendars to give away. I wish I could, but then you know we're green, and you know I'm trying not to waste paper. But
yeah, I have my hand raised here.
Oh, go ahead, Rita. Sorry,
I thought, you know, that's probably a better way to do it. How would we start that? I would think that someone would need to make a proposal.
Yes.
So the national committee could decide.
Yes. So yes, that is the first thing we have to do is write a resolution proposal. So let me go back. So yeah, so we'll need to write a proposal for next year. Next year, 410 will be on a Monday. It's still going to be Volunteers Week the week after, and then Earth Day. So Earth Day is just going to be right after. So we want to have this officially passed national to declare 410 National Green Party Day. Okay. So user stories versus the sprints. So Rita was right. The first sprint would be to pass a resolution. And the sprint is actually the end goal of the sprint is to get is passed. Is passed. Okay. So to get a resolution written up and passed, we should take average a week or two, but usually it's about, to draft it, get it sponsored and passed would take a month if you do it the Scrum way. The way we're doing it now, it would take about a month to get it written up, a month to get it sponsors, and then a month to get it on the floor, and then maybe 2 weeks to get it passed, maybe another month. But that's pretty much where we are right now versus getting something in and out within a month's time. And I know a lot more people would rather something like this only take at least a month, not 4 months at most, but that's where we're at right now. So that would be the current status of a sprint. If I were to write a resolution, I would start it off by making the annual national committee sponsoring the proposal, because they do an event annually, and I'm doing this workshop during their annual event for a national day. So let's just do that for just for the heck of it. Let's say they're going to be the sponsors for this thing. And we're going to need to know what we want this day to accomplish. Okay. So here are some user stories I thought of, just what I thought this day was already for. So I'm just going by what I thought this day was already. But if there are more ideas that could help get this done, then by all means add it in. But one user, you always have to create your user stories from every stakeholder, every person. Like as a voter, why would you want this day? As a committee member, why would you want this day? As a volunteer, why would you want this day? As a candidate, why would you want this day? So those are the ways you create a user story before you do a sprint, because those user stories is how you will write the resolution. You see how it's a little bit different project management style than how we usually do go about this. But you always have to write how each stakeholder would benefit from this project, no matter how small it is. Even as an observer, I just want to know what are 4 pillars and 10 key values. I don't know what you're talking about. Okay. Did I miss a user story? Because I want to make sure I covered every ground I could think of when it comes to user stories, because those are usually the most important thing you do in Scrum is create user stories. If you don't do anything else, you do that first. So it's a little bit different than just saying, oh, we need to do a phone bank, or we need to do this, or we need to do that. You always create the user stories first. And then you match user stories with the sprints. So if I were to say, as an observer, I just want to know what the 4 pillars and 10 key values are, then I would match that with just having the resolution for that day. Or I could match that with, yeah, I would match that with the resolution. If I were to do, I'm an unaffiliated voter, I want to know how to join, then that might be like the actual motion. As a committee member, I want to see more volunteer opportunities. I mean, more party building opportunities. Then you would be here in number 2. See how that goes? It's a little bit different planning style. But I guarantee you it gets stuff done so much faster when you do it the Scrum way.
Philena, can you explain what you mean by user stories or whatever?
A user story is anyone that is going to use this product. And I know it's a little bit weird to refer to National Green Party Day as a product, but we're creating a product in a sense. When that's how we look at it in coding, like when we create something or a function, or we create these icons on here or something like that. We're talking about creating a product. And what a lot of people done that use Scrum in other fields is they still adopted the language, but the user stories is like how you're talking about, you're creating a storyline of how you want a person to use National Green Party Day for something. Like, what are they? What would
My
they
guess-
use for? I guess. Go ahead.
My guess would be that, yeah, we would want to do things that create attention to the Green Party, or advertise the Green Party and our 10 key values and so forth.
Right.
And are then we looking for ways to do that?
Right. And that's part of the plan, theme, and events section of a sprint. And you as a committee member, you want to see more party building activities. So you would be under the plan, themes, and events sprint.
Okay.
So like I said, there's a lot of ways it can be planned. We can plan green waves around it, petition drives around it. But we always connect an informational angle to whatever event we're planning, you know. So now we have a day to just explain what the 4 pillars and 10 key values are every year.
Okay. It would seem to me like it would be best to target local groups. And maybe they could have some kind of an activity where they would do have literature available, and maybe like something at their library or whatever, You know, sometimes you can set up a little mini booth in front of the library and have information there for people,
Yep,
that kind of stuff.
yep. And what we'll probably do at the national level is, you know, collage all those local activities. You know, as a,
Uh-huh.
you know, we're just gonna collage all those local activities. Is like, this is what we do. It's pretty much what a lot of organizations do when they have a day. Usually have a founding day or their special day. I think even the Red Cross has a day when they do
Uh-huh.
stuff like this, you
Or
know.
maybe we'd want to put out a little press release to the media that,
Mm,
hey, this is Green Party Day or whatever.
Yep, yep,
Advertise our 10 key values.
yep. And every year, so we would not every year. And like I said, April is a great month. It's starting the spring, and it's also a great time because since we already do a lot of Earth Day to May Day events, um, and it's like almost 2 weeks before, it's a great way to have that as the outro to your whatever event you plan. So if you plan the event and then 2 weeks later you're gonna have some Earth Day stuff going on, then you like, okay, and in 2 weeks, come back again. We're gonna be here collecting
Yeah.
trash at this park for Earth Day and da 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 da. You know what I mean? So it's a great lead into other things we'll be doing in April.
Yeah, we could advertise those things too on National Green Party Day.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things, this is Eileen Sheehan, one of the things that I don't hear in this is why the Green Party Day is relevant to the audience we're trying to reach. And I think to talk about 10 key values, we know what they mean, but I don't hear that the accomplishments of the Greens or the significant difference between the Greens and the Democrats mostly is part of this whole advertising.
Okay. I was also thinking about another thing that we can use that day for is to not only inform what the 4 pillars and 10 key values are, but you can also treat that day as your previous candidates from last year's showcase, or that could be the recap. Can also be a way to recruit more people to run based on they see who ran last year, because most people say we're not visible enough. And we don't have a day to make even our candidates that ran year previously more visible. That's another day we can capture that. So that's what I put for as a candidate. I want to have events that goes over the platform in general to help me win. Or as a potential candidate, I want to know how much support I will receive from my campaign. National Green Party Days can help candidates get support for their campaign when it comes to actual the campaign management and treasurers and media people for those campaigns. Because April is still early for a lot of states. Now I know a lot, like here in Ohio, it's a toss up because sometimes we'll have our primaries as early as April or March. So we might not have that opportunity to use that part of the candidates and potential candidates and showcasing our previous candidates, that we don't have a day to do that. You know, we might end up focusing on having green waves or petition drives if you don't have to turn in petitions until August or something. So that's another thing. Did that answer your question about the user story as far as how it helped the party or help the candidates get a little bit more attention? Previous candidates can get more attention. I think I covered every user story, but I'm hoping that someone caught a user story I didn't catch. Does anyone see a potential user story here? Who would use a National Green Party Day to successfully grow the party? I told you this is not easy, but you know, it helps to have a use case. Let me get out of this screen share quick so I can see everybody. Oh, slide 14. Wait, I'm reading through the chat now. Exactly. And I think this having, yeah. Yep, there's a lot you could do for just our official day like that, because that's what a lot of these days too. I think on like January 23rd is ranked choice voting day, 1, 2, 3. And we did a lot of promotion that day for ranked choice voting. A lot of different organizations, not just Fair Vote, but a lot of different organizations really did a lot for ranked choice voting day. So there's a lot of theme days like that. Yeah. But if you do plan an event for 420, you already have something as a primer 10 days before that event. So, like I said, it's also a good primer for events you plan later that month. Because if I go back to that April month, you see how much stuff is going on in April, and it's volunteers month. Yep, it's volunteers month. The next week after 410 is volunteers week, and it always ends with volunteers week with Earth Day. So that's a primer to join. Yep. You can use that to raise awareness because it's only in 10 days. That's why I was like, go back in. Yep. So, and it's so close to Education and Sharing Day. It's like Education and Sharing Day is on the 12th. We'll have our 4 pillars and 10 key values day. Gardening Day is on the 14th. And I think it's the same. Yes, it is the same. But next year, Education and Sharing Day is the 2nd. I forgot why that one rotates. And then we're gonna next year, Good Friday and Easter Sunday is gonna be that weekend right before 4/10. So you can even have a 4/10 event explaining what we are, and then have an event that Friday for Gardening Day. Or like you said, 4/20 is the week after, and then Earth Day. Then Workers' Memorial Day. That's also a very, very good day. The workers who have gotten killed on the job. And Honesty Day. And then May Day. See, because you got Earth Day to May Day. We always do a Earth Day to May Day, or some type of boycott of fossil fuels or something during that time frame. So that's already been, we already kind of have that set in stone. So 4/10 being National Green Party Day is just perfect for us for April, first of all. So we can quickly either make this happen in April 2023 and have a huge thing, and have a primer for this year's candidates, next year's candidates. Actually, by April 2023, we'll already have some prospects for presidential candidates, because they got to start early. And so they'll be, after this year's election, the presidential committee is going to be starting to field out some people. So by this time next year, we're going to have presidential prospects in April. So we definitely have that as another thing to have at the national level, how they're going to celebrate 4/10. Maybe that could be our first presidential candidates forum. What are the 4 pillars of 10 key values to you? I don't know. You can pretty much do a lot with that day. So like I said, you start now, we definitely have a resolution pass. I don't see it not passing. Like, we don't need a National Green Party Day. Everybody pretty much asked me, like, why don't we have a day? That's mostly the feedback I got is, why don't we have a day? But I guess this was more like a chicken or the egg issue where we don't know how this came about. Was it just media? Was it, it was like, it could have been just a media thing, but it needs to be official. So no, we wouldn't. I don't think so. Maybe they might have a founding day.
Maureen Doyle is trying to get your attention.
Someone have their hand up? Go ahead.
Oh,
Go ahead.
I was just thinking because I was part of the well, I attended some of the workshops of planning Earth Day to May Day, and this would be a fantastic thing to put into it. I know 4/10 doesn't fit into it, but to plan activities in it.
Right, like you
It's
use
really
the
hard.
4/10 to promote your Earth Day to May Day too. Like you're using that
Exactly.
as a primer, because you can just use it as a primer. That's a great idea, no matter, because it's too close.
Right.
So yeah.
Right. Yeah. And thank you, Rita, for calling that out. That I was trying to get attention.
Oh yeah, I'm looking for the little hand. I didn't look at your actual hand was raised.
I know my well, my computer is too old, I think. So it doesn't do that.
Oh, okay.
Because I know on other things they were like, just go to reactions, and we're like, ours doesn't have that. So I think it's just old. But
No, that so it won't be a platform amendment. It'll just be a resolution, Elizabeth. This will be a resolution. Like we endorse nationally the resolution to endorse the No New Jails campaign. It falls under resolution, I think. I don't think it's a platform amendment. Unless it needs to be a platform amendment.
I don't think it would need to be. We just recognize it as a special day. And I think it only requires, I think, 50% of the National Committee to approve it. So Philena, are you going to write a resolution or to put before the National Committee? Philena, you're muted.
I'm sorry. I was reading Elizabeth's thing, and my husband had to tell me something very important. So it would be submitted by well, it would have to be submitted by a committee. That's why I was playing along saying, like, we'll just have the annual national meeting committee submit it because they're submitting a national day. So let's just say they did it. And
Oh,
because
the
some
A&M
working
committee.
committees can submit proposals. I don't think
Yeah.
this will be a rare opportunity for our annual national meeting committee to submit a proposal for an annual day. But they
Are you-
could, they
Are you
can.
on that committee, Philena?
I'm supposed to be through the Black Caucus, but I think we have a member already on there, and I'm
Oh,
wearing too many hats now.
yes.
as
Okay.
as it is, but that's okay. I mean, then once they sponsor, a whole bunch of people can co-sponsor, or state can sponsor, any state can sponsor. Yeah, media could submit it, outreach could submit it. There's a lot of committees that have a purpose to submit it. So
Or state parties could submit it too. So,
mhm.
yeah.
So that part's the easy part. We actually know how to do that. That's why I said that. That's why I put that under current.
Mhm.
That's under current sprinting. So we can get that part done. We just want to make sure that we have every user story, every use case we could think of, to make sure it passes, and then make sure everybody's like, okay, now let's make this happen. Now let's just do it for, shits and giggles, as they say. We really need to make it happen because there's a lot of stuff we do in April already. I don't think I forgot when the equinox is, but there's not too much stuff going on already on the 10th. I looked at national days, and it's a pretty boring, uneventful day. It's like it's usually near. I mean, this will be twice in a row. It's near Easter because Easter could be in March, and Easter might not be even close to this day. So, besides Earth Day and 420 Earth Day later in the month, we don't really have a lot of stuff we do early in the month of April. So,
I'm laughing here.
oh,
Cindy's comment here. We could have an Eat the Rich Day after Green Party Day where we recycle the carcasses of billionaires.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
No, I don't think that'd be a good idea. I think then we'd get bad publicity about something like that.
So,
Must taste like chicken, yeah.
Yeah.
Let me go back to, yeah, so like this month, um, the only thing we have is the last month of the, well, the last Saturday. Next Saturday is Whistleblower Day, and that's a
Oh,
big
yeah,
day,
yeah.
you know. So you see how we can organize a lot of events around
Mhm.
Whistleblower Day if we're paying attention at this Whistleblower Day. Then,
Yeah, I have a peace calendar. We could add a whole bunch of stuff on there.
yeah,
oh yeah, believe me,
definitely.
because you know we're just adding to this every year and
Yeah,
making sure we have a Green Party theme for the month. And
no,
just making this calendar, and hopefully, you know, once we get into the habit of making our calendars like this every year,
mhm,
we'll get a lot more activities going.
yeah. Of course, the Peace Action Committee keeps track of the peace days, so.
Yeah, yeah, I do have a lot of, I think, let's see, I do have a lot of that for December. Any peace theme month, I tried to do the blue.
Oh, okay.
So I did try to do the blue for peace here. I think what's my other blue month? I think it's August. Yes. So next month is your month, Rita. But it is International Peace Month next month.
Oh, okay.
And
Well, Logan keeps us pretty busy with that stuff.
and that it is actually a very it's a lot in next month. Senior Citizens Day, World Humanitarian Day, World Youth Day, Beer Day. I think I put that in there so people can plan a in-person day, but you know, COVID and everything, people are really thinking about
Land
Beer Day.
property. Senior Citizens Day, huh?
Yep, there's a Senior Citizens Day.
Oh,
There's a Women's Equality Day. Yeah.
I didn't know
People.
there was a Senior Citizens Day.
Mm-hmm. This is what I put. Social Security is 87 years old, like that, because that's a day to talk about how Social Security is getting ripped apart, and you know, policies
Yeah.
about Social Security. So that's why.
Is there a healthcare day somewhere?
And well, April was World Health Day.
Oh, okay.
That was on the 7th.
Okay.
So World Health Day will be a few days before 410 Day. So yeah, so that's the only main day we have in July that we can still do is Whistleblower Day. But and if any does anybody wait, do I can get, I think I put, hold on. Let me see. Okay, I do have it up there. I just want to make sure it's in the
Excuse me,
outreach.
I'm going to pop
There
in
you
here a
go.
moment. Sorry, Philena, you have about maybe 7 minutes left. It's
Yeah, that's why I was like letting it die down now, and I was
okay.
the
Good.
link to the calendar.
That's okay.
Is there any more questions about Agile? Did anybody get the link from the creators of Agile framework called Scrum? Did anybody get a chance to review that? because it's very simple. And I know on the website, it did have the wrong link, and I tried to get that updated. And I don't know if everyone got the right link in the eventee, because the eventee really screwed it up.
Oh,
Okay, let me pull that link up right quick and put that in chat before
okay.
I'll be in chat. Give me a second. Here it is. There you go. Here's the HTML version of it. And if you get the PDF version of the Scrum Guide, it's only 14 pages. So it's not something crazy difficult. It's just very difficult for people to implement it. That's why it has so many certifications now, and it's become a massive, massive certification requirement for software developers, because if you don't develop software like this, you would be a bloated mess like Adobe Flash, and that's why it's gone. So that's the best way I can describe it. And yes, we do need more Scrum Masters. We do have a lot of good Scrum Masters in the Green Party. We just haven't sorted out our roles yet. And without our sorting out our roles based on our personality types, we'll just, keep going turning in circles. Because we do have a lot of good Scrum Masters in the party. They just don't know they're Scrum Masters yet. That's all it is. But we have a great deal of talent in the party. And if we do get this together, this is one of those things where we lose people because they say we don't have the resources after a person gets elected. We don't have a support. And we've lost a couple of candidates that won their election in Ohio to the Democrats because they win and then they get in there and they have no support whatsoever. And then they get, smooshed by the Democrats like, look, we got all this training and this. We got all this wonderful documents to help you get through your role.
Well, thank you, Philena.
Yep.
I'll spend some time looking that over. It looks interesting.
Yes, it does worry me. Well, thank you, everybody. I don't want it just to run over because it's going to be some more workshops coming up. So, and there's some good ones I want to get to myself. But I'm hoping this helps. I'm going to, I'm probably going to export this as a PDF. As a follow-up. It's just a worksheet just to get everybody an idea, since it's a nice use case to work with and how to break this down into other projects that you can find examples for. But I promise you, there's a lot of people that send me feedback about my oopsie, so I'm promise you we'll get it done. We'll get it passed. This is not a hard one to get past. It's just that it's hard to make sure we have a lot going on for that new day that we're going to create. Getting it passed is not a problem. Making it productive
Right.
is always going to be an issue. So I'm glad that helps everyone understand how you got to approach it a little bit differently.
Okay.